You know that tiny, stupid moment when you're carrying something hot and you feel it drift a little too close to your sleeve? That little jolt in your chest. That immediate, please not this feeling. Now picture that inside a royal hall in Paris in 1393 with King Charles VI standing under candlelight in a costume that was basically built to burn. Charles had already had a serious breakdown the year before, so the court was trying to keep him steady, keep him entertained, keep the whole thing looking normal, which is always the word people use right before things stop being normal. On January 28th, the occasion was a wedding celebration for a lady at court, and 6 men, including the king, dressed as wild men, with costumes covered in pitch and flax and tow. The idea was spectacle. The result was a fire hazard with a crown on it. And this is the part that gets me. Nobody in that room thought they were walking into a disaster. They thought they were doing court entertainment. They thought they were making the king laugh. Then Louis, Duke of Orleans, comes in carrying a torch, and one costume catches. Just one. One torch! That is all it took. The flames jumped fast because the outfits were soaked with the kind of stuff that does not belong anywhere near open fire, and the room changed shape in an instant. Party to panic, music to shouting, laughter to people trying to save their own skin. Charles only survived because his aunt, the Duchess of Berry, threw her robe over him and smothered the fire. Another dancer reportedly got into a vat of wine to put himself out, which is such a medieval sentence that it almost sounds made up. It isn't. 4 of the 6 men died, some after awful burns that dragged on for days. And for a second there, the king himself came frighteningly close to dying in front of his own court. What makes the story stick, though, is not just the fire. It's the setting. This was supposed to be a polished display of power, a room full of nobles proving they still had control of the world. Instead, it exposed exactly how fragile that control was. Charles was already vulnerable. The court was already improvising around his illness. And then they dressed that fragility in costume, set it near candles, and called it ceremony. That is the whole tragedy in one scene. People in Paris did not see it as a random accident. They saw a court that looked reckless, indulgent, maybe even morally rotten. The king's near death at a masked ball wasn't just gossip. It became a public symbol of a government that felt unstable. That's the part worth remembering. Not because it's lurid, but because it shows how quickly a bad decision in a room full of powerful people can turn into a crisis of trust. So when I think about the Bal des Ardents, I don't think, medieval people were ridiculous. I think something much closer to Hun. I think about how often people confuse pageantry with safety, confidence with competence, and a well-lit room with control. And then I come back to that first image, the torch, the sleeve, the instant of alarm, except now it's a king in Paris, and the fire is not just on the cloth, it's on the whole room.